All right, Schlockmeister fans, by request, we did part 1, now we're going to do part 2. Sorority House Massacre 2. Let's check it out. Movie starts with a girl crying.
I know you're out there.
The film then cuts away and we see how we got there.
Janie, I absolutely love it.
5 sorority girls moving into a new house.
Come on.
As they move in, we see somebody across the street spying on the girls. There's a reason they got the house so cheap. There's a history.
Yes, you do. Do you remember about 5 years ago hearing about the Schlockmeisters case? The guy who killed his whole family? That's the one. Wait a minute, you're not saying that this... This is the old Hochstetter place.
They meet Orville spying on them. That's the guy who we saw across the street.
No, it's Ketchum. Orville Ketchum. Live next door.
What the hell are you doing staring at us like that?
We then see a flashback of what happened 5 years earlier. However, this is not a scene from Sorority House Massacre. It's a scene from the movie Slumber Party Massacre.
Came to drill. Well then, you ladies are going to be needing this. This here's the key to the basement. Been locked up since the murders.
So the girls investigate the basement, and of course they find a Ouija board.
Ouija board. We ought to do that tonight. Not on a bed. All that stuff is bullshit anyways. I don't know.
It's the old Hochstetter place.
But Hochstetter's dead.
Well, he is, but there was another guy, a neighbor. I couldn't pin anything on him at the time, but I'm sure he had something to do with those killings.
We're treated to a shower scene.
Huh? Just me? Oh, where's that towel you wanted? For a minute there, I thought you were... Hochstetter, I asked you.
Film treats us to a shower scene.
Just me? Oh, where's that towel you wanted? For a minute there, I thought you were... Hochstetter, I asked you. Here.
While they get into their negligee,
Forget about it, he's harmless.
Orville's taking a peep. For the rest of the film, our girls are dressed like this.
Okay, I'll get 'em. Hey, how about the hard stuff?
Naturally, they use the Ouija board, and they contact somebody named Colin.
Sounds like an Irish name. It sounds so romantic. Hey, fuck this. This is getting too weird. I mean, really, what was that? Look, lightning must have hit the house and caused a huge electrical charge.
A little later, one of the girls gets it in the kitchen. And another girl walks into a bear trap or some sort of critter trap. And a few seconds later, she meets her demise. The cop from 5 years earlier goes to a strip club to meet the dancer who was like the one survivor he left from years ago.
Survived the Hochstetter massacre 5 years ago. You remember that guy that lived next door to Hochstetter?
Do I ever? Orville Ketchum, what a nutcase.
I still think he might have something to do with those murders.
I told you before, we didn't see him there.
A couple of the girls find the bodies after some blood drips on them.
Oh my god, our clothes, they're still upstairs! You really want to go back up there? I didn't think so. Jesse,
But it's raining outside and Orville's there. So they go back in the house. Back in the house. Orville does get in. Kimberly is chased up the stairs where she cowers in the bathroom and becomes our next victim. Orville's taken out. Takes a little more to finish him off, though. Good job, Linda. Turns out Orville's not dead. So he's going to get the toilet treatment.
Hello? Hello?
Is Clive Hockstetter there?
Who's this?
This is his wife. Will you put Clive on, please?
He's not here. He's not here.
I'm afraid he is, dear.
So we're down to 2 survivors, Linda, and there's Jessica. But Jessica's not quite right.
What are you talking about?
So the spirit of Clive Hockstetter has now invaded Jessica.
Yes, I remember. Jessica's gone forever.
But guess what? Orville's still not dead, and it's not him. He's not the killer.
Hi, neighbor. Long time no see. For a regular program.
She stabs Orville and gets stabbed herself.
Just wanted to drop off the furniture.
The next morning, the police show up.
Just like this. I didn't touch anything, I swear.
Jeez, not again.
It still is.
But now Linda's possessed. And guess what? Orville? Still not dead. Cops then shoot him.
Get an ambulance. This man is still alive.
In fact, Orville's the only one who survives.
Freed when sheriff's detectives were unable to accumulate enough evidence to prosecute him. Outside the hospital today, a joyous and fully recovered Ketchum reiterated his innocence and waved to reporters on his way back home. Good luck, Orville.
Alright, let's talk about Sorority House Massacre 2. I've had this movie in my collection since maybe 1992 or 3. I taped this off of cable. It was the first time I'd seen it. I think I got it off of Joe Bob Briggs' movie channel, Friday Night Drive-In Theater, I think it was called. And I remember him at the time saying that it was also called Nighty Nightmare, which I thought was a joke because, you know, the girls are scantily clad in their nightgowns and everything throughout the whole movie. But IMDb says, yeah, there actually is an alternate title of Nighty Nightmare there. Go figure. So anyway, the movie, it's a in-name only sequel. In fact, at one point when they have some flashbacks to previous murders that happened at this house, they show scenes from not Sorority House Massacre, but Slumber Party Massacre. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Films are getting crossed here, but whatever. So anyway, the movie has 5 college girls who are moving into this dorm, this house, where 5 years earlier, some murders had happened. Some guy named Clive, I can't remember his last name, butchered his whole family, killed them. So that's why they got the house so cheap. Well, of course, they find a Ouija board and decide to try to talk to spirits, whatever. And they end up conjuring up the ghost of Clive. And then they start getting killed one after another. Now, throughout this film, once we get about maybe 20 minutes into it, it's nighttime, and our ladies change into their negligee, their nightgowns, after a couple of shower scenes also. But they change into the nightgowns, and they're, flimsy nightgowns, and they're pretty revealing, thong backs, which was great, by the way. But that's how they spend the rest of their movies. So this is just a constant tease, this entire film with the outfits here. When they're getting chased, they're in their nightgowns. When everything's happening, they're getting killed with their nightgowns. It's a nighty nightmare, as Joe Bobs would say. So anyway, Clive comes back. I guess we don't really see the killer. We just see like this hook, the shadow of a hook, and kills 3 of them. And then we're left with basically 2 survivors. Jessica, played by Melissa Moore, who I always kind of had a thing for her. I always thought she was a hottie. And Gail Harris, also known as Robin Harris, also known as Gail Thackeray. Not sure how she went in this movie here. Robin Harris. There you go. You might remember her. I reviewed this goofy thing called Cheeks, and also Girls of Malibu, which weren't really movies, but I reviewed them. She was in there. She's the British one. Anyway, she's the last survivor here, and then she finds Jessica. I guess I shouldn't say, well, that's a spoiler. She finds Jessica. Jessica is now possessed by Clive, and she's talking in a deep voice. She comes after her with a hook. And all the time, they thought this next-door neighbor, Orville Ketchum, this big hulking guy, was after them. But it wasn't. Orville was just a friendly neighbor, menacing looking, but who was trying to help them. So Orville shows up, and first of all, she stabbed and thought she had killed Orville, but she didn't. And Orville actually comes to her rescue later on, when we think he's dead, to help her with Clive. And eventually it seems like... well, anyway, Linda, who was Gail Thackeray's, Robin Harris's character, she stabs Jessica with a knife, and presumably kills him, her, the ghost, whatever. Anyway, we fast forward to the next morning, and the cops show up. Orville's laying on the ground, presumably dead, as is Jessica / Orville. I'm sorry, Jessica / Clive. And then Linda, though, is still alive. Well, she gets up, and then we can hear that she's been possessed now by the ghost of Clive. Orville, who is not dead, it's an ongoing running joke in this movie that you think you kill him and you don't. He gets up, he grabs the cop's gun and shoots Linda, killing her, presumably killing off Clive as well. And then we find out at the very end of the movie that they took Orville away and put him in a home, but they didn't have enough evidence to charge him with anything. So he was released from the hospital, still alive. And that's how our movie ended. So anyway, that's Sorority House Massacre 2. Again, some nudity in here, a little bit of blood. Short film, only it's like 78 minutes long, something like that. But yeah, like I said, it's a constant tease with these ladies in their negligee, which again was fantastic. I loved it, right? That's why we watch this stuff. So anyway, check it out. I got Sorority House Massacre on this Massacre collection here I've had forever, with Sorority House Massacre 1. And yeah, it's decent for what it is. Check it out, leave some comments, let me know what you think about Sorority House Massacre 2. Watch it. Bye.